You work. You show up. You put in more hours than most people around you. And yet, the result you expected, the one you feel like you've earned, still isn't there. That gap between effort and outcome. That's why you're here. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 harsh truths about why that gap exists and what it actually takes to close it. 3 things you're getting wrong, and none of them are what you think. Section 1. Wrong direction. Thanks for your effort. But harsh truth 1, the world doesn't reward effort. It rewards output landing in the right place. Those are 2 completely different things, and most people never stop long enough to see the gap between them. Think about a bee. It never stops. From the moment it leaves the hive, it's moving, searching, flying, working without question. Nobody doubts the bee. But if it's flying in the wrong direction, away from every flower, it doesn't matter how fast its wings move. It comes back empty. Every time. Not because it didn't try, because it was solving the wrong problem. You might be that bee right now. You work hard, but your boss still doesn't recognize you. Not because you're invisible, but because the output you're producing isn't the output they're actually looking for. You grind for months on a product nobody asked for, then wonder why it doesn't sell. The effort was real, the direction was off. And the hardest part isn't the work. It's that from the inside, wrong direction feels exactly like right direction. You're tired, you're busy, things are happening. It feels like progress because something is always moving. But movement isn't progress, and exhaustion isn't proof you're getting closer. The world doesn't sit down with you and listen to how hard you tried. It doesn't care about your hours, your sacrifices, or how exhausted you are at the end of the day. It looks at one thing only, what you actually produced, and whether that output landed somewhere it mattered. That's a hard truth, but it's the only one worth accepting. Because if you keep running with your eyes closed, convinced that effort alone is enough, you'll work yourself to the bone and still end up exactly where you started. Section 2. Not enough. So let's say you fix the direction. You figure out what you're supposed to be building. You start moving toward it. And then, nothing happens. You work. You show up. Days pass. Weeks pass. You look around and everything looks exactly the same. Same struggle, same ceiling, same feeling of going nowhere. And at some point, a thought creeps in. Maybe this isn't working. Maybe I should try something else. So you do, and the whole thing starts over. Here's what's actually happening. You're not failing because you chose the wrong path. You're failing because you keep leaving every path at exactly the wrong moment, right before it opens up. Imagine you're walking through a forest. You want out, so you walk, and you walk.
And all you see is trees, more trees, the same trees. Nothing changes, nothing signals that you're close, nothing tells you you're doing it right. It just looks like more forest. Most people turn around here, or worse, they pick a new direction entirely and start walking again. New forest, same problem. They never stay long enough to smell the different soil. They never push far enough to hear the stream on the other side. That's not a courage problem. It's a boredom problem. Not fear, not confusion, boredom. The specific, grinding, invisible discomfort of doing the same thing day after day and seeing nothing back. No signal, no reward, no proof that any of it is working. We live in a world that is terrified of boredom. Everything is designed to give you a result fast. A like, a view, a response, a dopamine hit. So when real work asks you to go weeks without feedback, without visible progress, without any sign that you're close, your brain reads that as failure, and you leave.
But what you actually deserve doesn't come that fast. It never did. It's paid for in the currency most people refuse to spend. Boredom. Silence. Showing up on the days when everything feels pointless. Trusting the direction when nothing confirms you're right. Results don't arrive while you're working. They arrive after you've survived long enough for the work to compound. But you have to get through the part that looks like nothing first, and that part is long. And it looks identical every single day. I know this because I've done the other thing more times than I want to admit. Try something, see no result, convince myself it's not working, jump to something new. Try that, no result. Jump again, and again. Covering enormous amounts of ground, never staying anywhere long enough to find out what was actually on the other side. You can spend years like that, moving constantly, never arriving. The question isn't whether you're willing to work hard. You already are. The question is whether you're willing to keep walking when the forest looks the same as yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. What you think you deserve is real, but deserving something and having earned it are two different things, and the gap between them is filled with exactly the kind of boredom, frustration, and silence that most people refuse to sit in long enough. The forest doesn't care how badly you want out. It only opens up for the ones who keep walking. Section 3. Who defined what you deserve? There's one more thing worth looking at, and it's uncomfortable. When you say you deserve something, what do you actually mean? Because a lot of the time, I deserve this isn't really about the thing itself. It's about what having it would signal. The title, the number, the lifestyle. You want it because of what other people would see, what they would think. The nod of recognition from someone whose opinion you've decided matters. That's not desire. That's approval seeking with extra steps. And the reason it's worth separating, the reason it matters, is that you can spend years chasing something you don't actually want, just because you want someone to tell you that you made it. You work hard for it, sacrifice for it, lose sleep for it. And if you ever get there, it feels like nothing, because it was never for you. So ask yourself honestly, if nobody could see it, no followers, no family, no one to impress, would you still want it? If the answer is yes, then you know what you're actually working toward. And that changes everything. Because when you want something for real, not for the recognition, not for the validation, you don't need to be pushed. You don't need to be motivated. You already know what you're doing and why. That's when the work stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like the only logical thing to do. Most people never get there, not because they're not capable, but because they never stopped long enough to figure out what they actually wanted in the first place. Section 4. You already got what you deserve. Here's the hardest thing I'm going to say in this entire video. Where you are right now, the job, the income, the relationships, the progress, all of it. You deserve exactly this. Not more, not less. Exactly this. Not because you're not capable of more, but because this is the sum of every decision you've made, every forest you walked out of early, every direction you ran without checking where it led, every goal you chased for someone else's approval. The world didn't shortchange you. It gave you back precisely what you put in, and precisely where you put it. That's not an insult. That's just how it works. And the first thing you have to do with that truth is accept it. Not fight it, not explain it away, not blame the circumstances. Just accept it. This is where I am. This is what my choices have built. And that's okay. Because acceptance isn't giving up. Acceptance is the only honest starting point. There's actually something else in that truth, if you sit with it long enough. Something that feels strange to say, but is real. You have things right now that you once didn't have. Skills you didn't have 2 years ago. Clarity you didn't have last year. Even the pain of being stuck. That's information. That's your life, showing you exactly where the gap is. That's worth something. Most people skip this part. They're so focused on what's missing that they never actually see what's there. And when you can't see what's there, you have no real foundation to build from. You're just running again, anxious, half-present, chasing the next thing before you've understood the current one. So before you think about what's next, be here first, fully. Not resigned, not defeated, just honest. This is where I am. I earned this. Now, what do I actually want to build from here? And that question, what do I actually want? That's where it gets personal. Not what the algorithm is rewarding right now. Not what your peers are building. Not what would make someone at a dinner table nod and say, impressive. What do you want? The version of success that, if nobody ever validated it, you would still get up and work toward every morning. The thing that feels like yours. When you find that, and you'll know it because it doesn't need explaining, it doesn't need convincing, it just sits there quietly and pulls. Everything that came before in this video starts to connect. You'll know which direction to walk because the direction comes from something internal, not external. You won't need someone to tell you if you're on the right path. You'll know how long to stay in the forest because you're walking towards something you actually want. And that changes your relationship with boredom entirely. It stops being a sign that something's wrong. It becomes the texture of real work. And you'll stop measuring your effort against what you think you deserve because you'll already know. You deserve what you build. Nothing more, nothing less. And you're okay with that because what you're building is finally yours. That's the shift. Not a new routine, not a better system, not more discipline. Just this. Know where you stand, own it fully, and then move, deliberately, patiently, towards something real. The rest follows. If you got something out of this, subscribe. There's more coming.